Monday. We got it going. We're starting things off on this fine Monday. Full slate of people on the live stream today. Top left, Scotty Hawk from Scotty Hawk YouTube. Scotty.
What's going on, man?
Live streaming you.
What's up? Great start. Great start. Big
Flawless
tech issues.
Execution. we have Patreon member Desi's here. Desi, how's it going?
Bright Suns.
Wait, is it Bright Suns now or Rising Moons?
Rising Moons is like a goodbye. Bright Suns is like a hello.
Oh, I thought it was like good night, good morning. I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge, so I clearly have no idea what I'm talking about. And executive producer Heidi's here. Heidi! Frozen.
She's really happy to be here.
She's
Hey, what's up?
Hi, hey Heidi. Woo, you're frozen for a second. We are crushing the Scotty's like, why?
James, I gotta tell
Can't
you,
hear me?
you gotta say it with your chest, James. Okay, you're a little low.
Chest, huh?
You're a little low.
Am I low?
No, maybe it's just me. Maybe
Oh
it's just
god,
me.
oh, you can't hear me now?
I can hear everybody fine.
Okay, I think it's me. Hold on. That's why.
This is
That's why
live. This is why we do live shows on Mondays, because Mondays are Garfield will tell you what a Monday is. It is a great day of the week. We got a lot to talk about in Star Wars land. We got to start things off with the elephant in the room first, though. The Rey movie has once again been canceled, or it's on hold. Or so we talked about it at length last week. I don't want to go into it, but we're feeding the algorithm right now by saying it. So let's just do a quick roundtable. Scotty, Desi, Heidi, I'll let you all have your say. Rey movie, yay or nay, and is it happening in the next decade? Scotty first.
Something like that movie better happen in the next decade, or Star Wars is in a lot of trouble. But we need whatever episode 10 is going to be. Yes, I think that movie is bound to happen. I don't care when, but hopefully not 10 years.
Desi?
I hope it takes 20.
Oh.
Sorry.
But you got to elaborate on it. You can't just start with that.
I want the hate to die down the same way the prequels hate died down. So I think that we need the kids of today to grow up more before we will be ready for more episode movies.
Heidi?
I hope it's fake news. I think if they make a good movie, people will come to it. You just gotta give it a chance, and hopefully people will give it a chance.
I gotta go to
there
what?
are a lot of people who are automatically gonna hate it because it's Disney Star Wars.
Well, that's true. Disney's ruined a lot of things, Star Wars being two of them.
Stars and Wars.
They used to be the same thing. We used to
There was
have
an-
wars in the stars. We don't anymore.
I wanted to talk about Desi's point about the fans like growing, like the kids who like the sequels growing up, but there was an article that I wanted to reference, but I can't find it now. I read it this morning, but I can't find it now. It had it was a clickbait stupid article because I thought it was going to be an interesting one, but it was dumb. It was really bad. It's probably Screen Rant. I think it was actually. So it was about like the Rey movie can avoid doing something that Kenobi failed at or something like that. And it had to do with the time jump. And the article ended up being because Kenobi looks way older than he should be after 19 years. And Rey movie is going to be 15 years and she doesn't look like the same time has passed. But I did kind of want to bring that up because I don't disagree with what you're saying, Desi. The only thing is when you look at the sequels versus now I guess it wouldn't be as much time, but versus the OT, it's almost like we mentioned this on every live stream now, and this is the way I feel. And if you don't, fine, you can say it. But just the gap in time that we miss seeing Rey doing whatever it is she's doing, would that affect the way people feel seeing Rey 20 years, 30 years down the road without seeing how she got to it. Like if it's just miserable old Rey in 20 years, are the Rey fans today going to be like the Luke fans were with the sequel trilogy? That's all I want to say. It's like if you, because we always talk about maybe they should fill in the gaps. So do you risk going down that road again?
I think that no matter what you do, there are going to be haters. Just try to tell a good story. I think that they do too much to try to appease the internet, and there's no such thing.
Scotty, any thoughts?
I agree with that sentiment. I've talked with Ron in the chat a couple times about this. The fans that are truly lost on the Disneyfication of Star Wars, they're not going to come back because they see that message and everything now. So they're kind of hyper focused on what they don't like at this point. Maybe certain directors would bring them back. I think I'd like to see some big name directors come to Star Wars, but there's definitely a fear, and them not knowing what they want to do with the story doesn't help either. So I just don't want a time jump. You know, like if the movie's gonna be 10 years out, sure, time jump, because now we're gonna be like, wow, she's probably way older now. It took them, but I don't know. I don't really have a lot of expectations for what they're gonna do with the story, so I don't really know.
No, I'm with you. Like if you're gonna make the movie, make it now. Don't make it. This is set 100 years in the future. It's like, why? Just make it. I agree with that. But if it does take 20 years,
so we have to relive. We have to relive the whole old Rey now instead of old Luke, and we have idea how she got there.
If we get young Rey, then people are gonna be like, oh, why didn't we get this with Luke?
And that's Ron's point. Yes.
Yep.
And then if we get old Rey, then it's, why do you even bother? Why don't you just wait until she's the proper age? So you're just never going to appease anybody. Everybody on the internet is going to complain about something. Just focus on telling a good, cohesive story.
I mean, there's an old adage. Well, I'm going to change a little bit. You can please all the people some of the time, but you can't please some of the people all the time. I mean, no matter what you can do, there's going to be people who are unhappy, and I think that was the problem with a lot of the sequels, was the fact that every time the audience complains, someone would come along and try to fix it, and in fixing it, you just angered people all over again.
Because The Force Awakens comes out, oh my goodness, it's such a clone of A New Hope. We want something different. The Last Jedi comes out, it's something completely different. Oh my gosh, this is too different. This isn't real Star Wars. So then they try to course correct with whatever the heck the Rise of Skywalker was, and you wound up just pissing off everybody. I don't know anybody who's like, yes, The Rise of Skywalker was the best Star Wars film of all time.
It's my number one every year. Number one with a bullet. It's the only one that has Babu Frick. So tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, it does have that going for it. But like The Rise of Skywalker made people who enjoyed the original trilogy, I don't think that it appeased them. It certainly didn't appease the people who actually liked the sequel trilogy on the trajectory it was on, because they went completely backwards from it. So they just didn't please anybody with that. And I just want them to come up with a fully cohesive story ahead of time. And don't listen to what the internet says. Just move forward, keep going with your story the way you want to tell it, and tell a good story, and don't worry about the haters.
Yeah, I don't want things retconned. I hear people saying they want things retconned. It's like, well, if you do that, then you're gonna piss off the fans who like the sequel trilogy. And even if there are people who want things retconned, they're not gonna be retconned the way people want them to be retconned. So it's gonna still piss them off. So just let the story stand and work from them.
There is one thing I want retconned. I don't want Ben Solo to be dead. Other than that, keep going.
I think that's going to have to be a topic for another day. We've got enough to go into today on that. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole of Ben Solo living or dying. I think, look, I think whatever they're doing with the Rey movie, I think they should go on a retreat. They should go somewhere nice. They should not have access to the internet. They should have, like, I don't know, like Filoni and Pablo Hidalgo in like a separate cabin. And whenever they have a question, they walk to the cabin, they knock on the door, they ask only that question. They answer the question like the good nerds that they are. The door closes, and they can have like, and that cabin can have PlayStations, Xboxes, original Nintendos, whatever you want. But then they go back into their dark little cabin with their typewriter, and they write the script. And because you brought up The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't hate that movie. I've said this before. I actually enjoy the movie. I know what it is. Like, yeah, but I know what it is. I know what it is. Okay, I know. But it's got good music. So I watched the movie, and the problem is, J.J. Abrams, before, referenced the Phantom Menace, and before that, Ryan Johnson mentioned Mike Zero, and they know what's being said on not this channel because we're way too popular for people there, but they know what's being said online, and I think you got to wipe that away. Because I always bring up look, Sonic the Hedgehog. They made Sonic the Hedgehog look fantastic after the fan outcry, but Ninja Turtles, the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, Splinter was supposed to be William Fichtner, and they ruined Shredder. Or sorry, Shredder was supposed to be William Fichtner. They ruined Shredder in that one because the internet went crazy, and then they were like, "We have to retcon Shredder in our movie," which they were retconning the old. Anyway, the point is, don't listen to us fans. We don't know what you're doing. Like we can all have an amazing Star Wars story in our mind, but if you're telling a story, and Scotty's like telling his story, they might be great stories separately, but meshed together, they're not going to work in his opinions. And if you take what he's saying to go into yours, your story is going to might get ruined. It might. So I'm just like, we're not, people on YouTube aren't professional storytellers. And a lot of them are definitely not professional storytellers. And just, I wrote a book. So did Heidi.
I read them.
My point, actually, and James, you are not a professional storyteller. My point is just lock yourself in a room and write the story that you want to write. And then don't worry about the fan feedback yet.
Yeah, I just say thank God the internet wasn't around in 1979 because Empire Strikes Back would have been awful.
Yeah. Jedi would have been torched. Return of the Jedi. Any Star Wars movie with the word Jedi is going to get torched.
Nobody would have believed that Darth Vader was really Luke's father. They would have all said, oh, he's lying. The same way that they didn't believe Kylo Ren was telling the truth about Rey's parents being nobody. So then they had to come back in the next movie and be like, guess what? She's a Palpatine. Then the third movie, if Return of the Jedi came out, people would have found out, oh no, he wasn't Luke's father. See, told you. And it just wouldn't have been as good of a movie if they listened to what people were saying back then.
I'm reading the chat right now. Oh, Scotty Hot coming in with a hot. I'm not going to put that on the screen.
It's always been my opinion.
His opinion is 9 is the best of the sequels, followed by 8, then 7. That's
no.
8,
that's
7,
not math.
8, 7, 9. That's Yoda math. It sounds like. But you three are definitely in the Last Jedi is the best of the sequel.
Yes,
that's where you all are.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in an alternate universe right now because that never happens anywhere I go. So I'm gonna take full advantage of that. It's the most. I would say it's the most George Lucas thing you could have done. Like, that's what I want in the next trilogy, whatever it is. Something nobody expects. Please do something nobody expects.
For me,
like, what are you gonna do? Retell the hero's journey of Rey raising up a young Jedi and all the things Luke should have done with his new Jedi, or her going dark? Like, I just want something new. It can be anything. I don't know.
For me, Rey Nobody was as big of a shocker as Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker because we went into it expecting
Anakin Skywalker. Don't say Luke Skywalker. The internet will go ablaze.
We went into it expecting her to be related to somebody. I liked that it was different. I liked that they had a fresh take on it, and it was still shocking and surprising.
I just wanted her to be like a chosen one, like Anakin Skywalker. I mean, we still really don't know who his dad was. I mean, there was that comic book, but apparently that's not necessarily true. That Palpatine created him. That was just a dark vision he had.
I believe that the canon answer is that Palpatine was trying to manipulate the midichlorians, and the Force, in retaliation, created Anakin by itself without Palpatine's assistance.
That's kind of crazy too. I love that comic. That's one of my favorite. Charles Soule.
Charles was great.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I wanted to talk about tonight, and I don't want to get off the subject if you guys want to stay on it.
No,
But
we
we're
can move
talking
on. We
about-
can move this train.
Well, I mean, we're talking about EU, AU. I saw the Lego show. For those who haven't seen it, it's really
Rebuild the
good.
galaxy.
Yeah, spoilers, they can't rebuild. They have to rebuild it and start from scratch. So everything in the special, I'm pretty sure it was a pilot for another for
You
either a
mentioned
show
that, yeah.
or another miniseries because it's not thick. So everything, how this ended, that's the new Lego Star Wars universe. And that got me to thinking about the AU or the EU. Why you could do Legends stories. You could even do live action Legend stories and fill in the gaps between Luke, Leia, and Han. And since they're Legends, you don't have to use the original actors because they're not canon. They're stories. Same with the opening to The Last Jedi. There was a vision of what would have happened if Luke had never gone off to become a Jedi. He stayed home. He married Cammy. They executed Leia, and the droids were taken, and the Empire took over Tatooine. You could go back to the AU that's already been written. You can create your own brand new AU or EU. There's many things you can do. The Clone Wars, do more Clone Wars stories. We talked about a live action. I say the girl from who was in Ahsoka, who played Lil Ahsoka, have her start out, and then as Ahsoka grows, then you get what's her name, Ashley, who was Ahsoka in the
Maxine.
cartoon. Yeah, get her to play the more older teenager. If you want to bring in Rosario Dawson, something else I remember. After Return, I'm an old lady here, so after Return of the Jedi ended, there was talk that the prequels. We all thought the prequels were going to be like in sometime before 1990. We didn't expect it to be like more like 1999. And there was talks about Mark Hamill playing Anakin Skywalker and Carrie Fisher playing the character who eventually would become Padme. I don't know. Maybe people would accept it if you had like Hayden Christensen playing Luke Skywalker, or some like Natalie Portman, or even Keira Knightley, who was Natalie Portman's double in The Phantom Menace, playing Leia. I mean, there's lots of things you could do if you want to do a live action, and people would just, if you want the story between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens in live action to expand these characters, you're going to have to recast them. And this is the only franchise, I mean, even Star Trek had to eventually do it. This is the only franchise I know that is considered sacrilege if you don't recast people.
Well, they
'Cause
recast.
that's the only way you
I
can get these stories you want.
can
Dude.
see their hesitation though. Sorry, Scott, is the Solo movie underperforming at the box office? They'd be like, no, if we recast, nobody's gonna go. I can
I
see that
loved it.
mentality. Now, so did I, but to
Yeah.
Scotty's point, they're very reactionary over there. They react.
I would
Then-
go crazy though for like I think I would kind of go crazy for a Natalie Portman as Princess Leia, an Andor style series set in like the Bloodline book, and she's just like the general,
Ooh.
like
Yeah.
Snoke. There's some Snoke stuff in there too towards the end of the book. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
I
Kylo's
think
born in that and he's running around as a little kid.
I would
It
love
would-
to see a baby Ben.
Yeah,
It would
I
do
think
them.
I think we need that. The recast it, but do young Ben, older
Yeah.
Luke, old-ish.
Or-
Exactly. They need to fill in those gaps to
Yeah.
get to the point that everybody, like all the people that, like the half of the people who hate Luke Skywalker, guide them to the direction where you can be like, oh, that's why he's there. And then if you still aren't happy with it, fine. But like, tell us the story. Like, how did he get from A to C? Like, we need the B line. We need that B storyline.
I mean, we kind of saw it in The Mandalorian when he was trying to teach Grogu. You see, oh, Actually, Luke kind of sucked as a teacher, and Grogu chose the Mandalorian over becoming a Jedi.
I think, I think they're done with Luke, though, to be honest. I think that Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, I think that was it for Luke. I think that's why, I think if they were going to recast, that was it, but they went the AI or the deep fake AI route. And I think, and I'm not saying I agree with it because I don't think I do, but I think that was that was it for Luke. They said their farewell to him.
Well, the reason why I bring up Lego, and maybe it seems silly, it's just that they were willing to take risks with Lego that they weren't willing to take risks with their other stuff because it's so expendable. And I'm wondering if it's possible if they were testing to see what they could get away with it. Because if you see, it actually has a lot of heart. There's characters that you end up characters interacting with the usual characters as well. So maybe this is a way to test, do we do a what if series? Do we do alternative series? Because now they've actually done it with Lego, and I wouldn't mind seeing a what if series, an EU series or an AU series or a complete canon legend series. I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it ended on a cliffhanger, but you were satisfied, but you could tell it was a pilot. So the point is, if they want to do this with Lego, maybe they're going to be wanting to do this with other things down the road.
I love that Lego ends on a cliffhanger, and you're like, and I was satisfied. Unlike the live action, for some reason, it ended on a cliffhanger, and I hated my life after. But Lego, you're like, yeah,
and they killed everything I love and everybody.
This is like, this is what that pisses me off about Lego is they seem to understand. Not just Star Wars, like every franchise they get a hold of, they seem to understand it better than the people who are now in charge of the franchise. It's
because they don't take it too seriously,
right?
Well, they're allowed to not take it seriously.
Yes.
In our defense, the sweaties, I'll defend the sweaties right now. I think animated should be free game. I think they should do all the EU stuff in animation. Just send it. Like, what are you waiting on? I want the live action stuff to be invested in, like filling in the gaps, though. Like you said, like I want all live action, even shows, to just really mean something. And when the storylines come to that end point and we don't expect anything else, I feel like those are the shows that fail.
I mean, to Grove's point, who's going to do it? Disney owns Lucasfilm, so
who's going to do what?
Grove says he doesn't care what they do. He'd like to have an Old Republic or something from Legends, but he just doesn't want Disney to do it. And I'm saying, well, who's going to do it?
Yeah. STX Entertainment. Me and John, we already talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Lionsgate. Give it to Lionsgate.
We'll bring back Orion. Orion's going to make it for everyone who remembers Orion.
How about, what was that? Never mind. It's just like Globus Golden, whatever it was. What was that film company called? Golden. Good did He-Man and the last.
Oh
Superman
my
movie.
gosh! Could you imagine they make a Star Wars movie with the same production value as He-Man and like Street Fighter?
Yes.
And the original Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That's. I'd be all in. Mario Brothers and Double Dragon are underrated gems, and I will fight anybody who disagrees on those two movies.
Those are immersive worlds, okay?
They all look the same. Ron saying they can't do what if. The problem is what if the people love what if. Oh wait, is that if people love the what if, they'll yell, "Why didn't we get this?" Isn't Visions kind of a what if?
Like I was saying that in some of those episodes, actually.
Yeah, I think Visions kind of like a. I haven't seen it, but I go by what I.
But it doesn't include any of the main characters.
No. Which I think they're afraid to. I think they're afraid to touch a lot of the old original characters. I think they're afraid to tarnish Luke Skywalker any more than they feel like, because they listen too much to what people say, and get Sunrise to do it as Gundam animation would easily transfer to Star Wars. Just get Disney to license it off.
They definitely had an episode that was like Gundam and Visions. The girl's Kyber crystal powered her like entire suit that she had on.
a lot of that animation style in Visions was kind of Gundam style. And then they had the studio, is it Studio Ghibli? Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli? I don't know how to pronounce
Mhm.
that.
Neither
But they
do
had
I.
that with Grogu.
Girl,
So
it was great. It was like 2 minutes of like
was
pure
so
joy,
cute.
pure dust bunnies. I woke up early to
Potential,
watch
though,
it.
of
I'm
what
like,
we
I'm
coulda
up. Could you imagine though if they just did like a ton of 2 minute baby? I'm gonna say baby Yoda like animated, like just filler, like nothing.
No.
No,
Hold up.
no.
No.
Scotty's cutting me off.
No. We need Studio Ghibli Yoda on Dagobah. That's it.
Okay.
He was doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
What
That'd be
about
fun.
the kids book that was the original story for the holiday special before CBS completely made it insane? There was a kids storybook. I forget
I
what it
didn't
was
know that.
called. Yeah,
I gotta look it up.
and
I
I
have
can't
I
look.
have a bunch of records. They're like, I think they're 35s, the small records, and they're all the storybooks. When R2 goes, "Wah, wah," you turn the page. That was more BB-8 than R2. Wah, 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 wah. I'm kidding. And I used to, as a kid, I used to read those, and I couldn't read when I first started them, so I would just wait for the beep and turn the page and look at the awesome artwork on them.
He's getting
I
better,
still
chat.
have those. What?
You're getting better at
He
reading.
said he can't read when I started those. I said he's getting better.
I can't listen either. Yeah, I'm still not very good at reading. Anyway, I look, the EU for me. I think I did the video Friday on, and I did a live action Clone Wars. I think they should just. I think for the novels, they should just let people write whatever the hell they want to write and let us read what we want to read. I think their fear though is that you might like something that's not canon better than what's canon. But TV shows, like Kathleen Kennedy made the comment that they didn't have books to reference from, like because Marvel has all the comics and Star Wars doesn't. And fans were outraged, and I know exactly what she was talking about because those books they're not part of the real George Lucas's Star Wars timeline, right? So they don't have those, so they can make them up. But the Plagueis novel, like novels like the Thrawn trilogy, obviously they brought Thrawn in, but things like that like people like really love and they're very strong stories that you can do without worrying. Like Thrawn's a little different, but without worrying about.
They
like,
tried bringing Plagueis in.
Yeah,
We're gonna get to that. Well, the thing is, they didn't try. They did it. They brought Plagueis in,
Yeah.
kind of. They never met. You don't know it's Plagueis for sure. We're going to go under the assumption that it is Plagueis, but they've entered that character in now, and you wonder why they just don't go. You know what? Why don't we adapt this as an 8-part series? Or I mean, it's a book, so it'd have to be like a 100-part series. And Ron's coming in hot. I think books like that, though, like those strong books that people still discuss today, that are actually, you can, and obviously more than those, but you can pick and choose what you want now in there, and just be like, here's a little story. We'll do 12 episodes of this, and you can probably make killer content based off of source material that is legends, but you can bring it into the canon, like Plagueis, because they brought Plagueis into a show that doesn't exist anymore, and things like that. You can do that. I don't know how you guys would feel about that.
I mean, if we skip forward, I can still believe in my head whatever I want happened to Qimir and Osha. And, after they're gone, then he finds Sheev. But who would you get to play a young Sheev Palpatine? Because I'm not sold on Matt Smith.
Scotty.
Never mind.
Oh, he was going to play him in Rise of Skywalker.
Don't let Morbius sway you.
That's why I would.
He would crush as a young Palpatine.
That's why I would cast him.
Every evil performance I see him in, it just comes out more and more. I think he's getting ready. I think he's like, this is not his final form, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but at what point is he too old to play a young CVP?
I think he's too old.
Really? Okay.
Well,
I can respect that. I can respect that.
You want to go further back. Young.
How old is Sheev in, The Phantom Menace?
I mean, he has to be fairly old when he meets Plagueis originally, this is like after he kills his wife and children, right? Or
I
he
would have
kills his
guessed.
family.
I would have guessed he needs to be like mid-20s for this story, but
Okay,
even
so you
30,
de-age Matt Smith for the first 20 minutes, and then we just no. But yeah, a young Palpatine.
Because how long has he been playing Damon? And he's supposed to be aged like
Right.
30
I hear
years,
you.
and he does not look like he has aged.
I'm not gonna lie. I think the only thing I've seen Matt Smith in is Morbius.
What? How about the
No,
Crown?
he's like a
No.
whole Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
no,
only
never
seen him in Doctor Who.
I've
He
never
plays
seen
a-
a Doctor Who. Never seen the Crown. Never
He
seen
plays the young Prince
the-
Philip.
and I've
Every
never
episode
seen-
of Doctor Who is just like an improv they thought about, and like we're like, yes, do it. So like his range, if you want to see his range, just go watch highlights from Doctor Who.
I believe he's good. I think Morbius is the only thing I've seen him in, and he's in the Dragon show, Dragon House, whatever.
House
I
of the
haven't-
Dragon.
Mhm.
Yeah, Aaron watches it. I've never seen it.
He plays
Yeah.
that from when he's supposed to be like in his 20s, and now I think he's supposed to be in his 60s, and they've
Wow.
just changed the length of his hair. That's about it.
That's range. He's got what else has he been in?
I don't know, man. I like him.
Well,
Move on.
I'm not saying I don't like. I have nothing against him. He was great in Morbius.
Who are you casting as young Palpatine then?
Who am I? A no name. I just want to see a no name.
Jared
I don't
Leto.
need to-
Mhm.
Jared,
He's too old too.
did you see
That
Jeff
was just a
Bridges'?
Morbius joke, sorry.
Do you see Jeff Bridges' comments on Jared Leto from the Tron 3? He's like, he was method acting. He goes, it was the craziest thing. He's like, just like, who is this?
Yes. I
Why
gotta
is
look
he
it up.
up for Skeletor right now? Like, what does he have on Hollywood where they're like, we need Jared Leto
Yes.
to be in every single thing we do? I can't figure it out because I've seen him in stuff, and I'll leave it at that.
Everyone
He's-
has seen
he's-
Masters of the Universe. Who else wants to play that role?
He's got Diddy's tapes.
Oh, ouch!
Oh, jeez.
Oh man,
Ow!
That's why he's got to be in everything.
that's great.
Him and Pedro Pascal.
I
We'll bring Garth Knight in. I hear they're putting the clamps on the Rey film first, the Rian Johnson trilogy, and now this. What is Star Wars anymore? So we've talked a little bit about the Rey thing off the top. I'm exhausted talking about the Rey movie. The Rian Johnson trilogy, I was like really excited for when they announced it. And then once I watched the movie, I was like, yeah, he's not going to get it. And then like, I don't know. I have this feeling that it's never going to happen, obviously. But they're just going to keep quiet. And every time somebody brings it up, they're like, yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, he's working on it. When he's ready to do it, he'll do it. And they're just like, eventually they'll just hope that we all forget. But I have a plan. I put it in my phone, in my calendar for the year 2052, that I'm going to have an interview with Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. And I will ask, and I will say, what's going on with your trilogy, Rye? What's going on? And he'll have an answer.
Ray Rodriguez.
Right. I think honestly, like a couple months after the movie came out, when Disney reacts, they had their ear to it. You know, because that happened. The Game of Thrones guys, they Game of Thrones season 8 came, and all of a sudden, nope, they're not with us anymore. We bring up Colin Trevorrow, Book of Henry comes up, sucks. You're not here anymore. They're very like, we want you, Patty Jenkins. Wonder Woman 2 sucks. Get out of here. You're not welcome anymore. Like every time a movie comes out and it doesn't do well, the person they hired, the flavor of the week, Gareth Edwards, you're here for a little while. You're not good enough anymore. Carrie Gilliam, get in. Like they've done this over and over and over and over again. I think once the fan backlash happened with The Last Jedi, they were like, but I think they had probably a really strong working relationship. So out of respect for each other, and because the movie was critically praised, I think they decided on both terms to lay low. And he's got his killing knives trilogy going on. He's fine. He doesn't need stuff. And if I were him, I wouldn't want Star Wars anyway. He's way better off over there.
if I got death threats, I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, apparently a lot of creatives don't want to do Star Wars because of people like us on live streams. Killing knives. The Knives Out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're
Yeah.
talking.
Knives Out, Green
I was
Onion,
thinking glass knives, and I was like, which one is it?
Glass Onion.
Glass onion.
Green Inferno? No, that's the one where they eat people.
That's
Soylent
Soylent Green.
Soylent
I don't know. Who directed Oppenheimer? Does he want to do Star Wars?
Christopher Nolan. No, he would hate his life in Star Wars. Listening to the rules they have, he would.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Well,
would
that's
never
what I'm
want
saying.
it.
It's like who at Lucasfilm is looking at DC films as a comparison to what they want to do with their movies. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Wonder Woman 84, that's your bar. Okay. And then they have done some of the stuff they've done recently.
And
And
that-
it's like, maybe you want to call Patty Jenkins back.
But they
Please.
know what these movies are like before they're released to us. Like they knew what Wonder Woman
Yes.
84 was. Like
True.
Lucasfilm, like Disney and Lucasfilm were like, she crushed it. I can see after the first Wonder Woman, but the second one was on. They were like, it was coming, and Hollywood knew what that was. Like, you can't tell me these studios don't talk to each other. They know what it is. Anyway,
Right, and we're talking about a connected universe with way more rules, and versus her coming over and making a movie that everybody collectively was hyped about and wants to see, regardless of who's making it. Like maybe she's just a huge part of it in the beginning, and it changes gears, and she's still listed like Colin Trevorrow in 9, right down there at the bottom somewhere. But like, do something that people get hyped about. There was a huge reaction to that. There's huge reactions to like the Ahsoka stuff. Lean in. Fast track the stuff people like. I'm not saying like fan service, but at this point, you got to do something. In my
George
opinion.
Lucas.
Well,
George
what
Lucas
about
was the
somebody like
king of
Kevin-
fan service. Sorry, how'd you go?
I mean, what about somebody like Kevin Smith? No, I was just saying, like, what about somebody like Kevin Smith, who's a huge Star Wars fan, or what's the other, or Favreau, or Filoni, Bryce Howard?
I mean, Feige.
people who've had
Feige
success.
keeps saying he's a huge fan too. Like, and apparently they shelved his whole situation.
Feige shelved. I just read yesterday or today. Taika Waititi's is shelved.
Didn't they
this-
have the Netflix guys at one point, or no?
No.
Okay.
That was the Game of Thrones went to Netflix instead of they went to Netflix when they were still doing Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Okay.
You know, they're very, very reactionary, like you said, Scotty. And it's
Recently.
just recently, but I just don't know how. It just
Right. And so if all the fandom and everybody's so reactionary, just do what you like. Desi was saying, just do what you want to do. Tell your story.
But they don't have one.
Fear the reaction.
I think the problem is they don't have a story.
I think
that's
that's
the
true.
biggest problem
Actually,
with it all. Yeah, like because think about look at Marvel, look at the MCU. How many directors have they kicked out the door during production? Edgar Wright, which it's Edgar Wright. He has, he's very stylistic and has his approach. And Feige's like, we're doing this, and he's like, no. So that happened. But how many other directors have they parted ways with? Doctor Strange 2. What's his name? I follow him on Twitter too. He's cool. The horror guy.
Not
Oh my
sure.
God.
oh,
Dickinson.
Raimi.
Derrickson. One of those.
Yeah,
two.
he was doing the first one.
He-
Yes, Derrickson.
He did. What is that
Or-
movie with Ethan? The horror movie with Ethan Hawke where the kids kill the parent. Freaking scariest movie I've ever seen. Scared the crap out of me. What was it
Well,
called?
I have no idea what you're talking
It's
Yeah,
very
with
scary.
the
It may
freezing.
not be that scary. I'm a terrible scare. Anyway, yeah. So there hasn't been many because they have their storyline. So the directors come in. It's more like TV. The directors come in and they know what their goal is to make the movie. They know what the story is. They know what the greater story is, so everybody can work together. But in Star Wars, there doesn't seem to be any of that right now, and that's causing a problem because Desi has an idea, Heidi has an idea, Scotty has an idea, and I'm Kathleen Kennedy being like, go, do it all. And then Desi, your last movie wasn't very good. You're out.
Why
I'm
mine?
hoping this. I'm hoping this Mandalorian and Grogu movie does well because I think if it does, it'll breathe new life into the Star Wars cinematic universe. On the other hand, if it bombs, I'm scared.
It can't bomb. It's not costing enough money for it to bomb. They're playing their cards perfectly on that one. It's like 110 or 120 million dollars. So if it
So
makes
maybe-
anything like 500 or 600, it's golden. And I can't see it not making that at all.
Well, that's what I said to Andrew. I think they have to make this movie before they move on to the Rey movie
Mhm.
because they
I
have
totally
to revitalize the movie universe.
Well, here's
Make
before
a
we get
Lego
into our
movie.
main. Yeah, well, Lego movie would crush it, but they wouldn't want that because then it would be bad. Before we go to our main topic today, if the Mando and Grogu movie, let's say, is a great movie, we all hope it's a great movie. I imagine. I hope none of us hope it's going to
That's
be
Bobby
terrible.
Frick in it.
Exactly, it's gonna be great.
Does it?
But let's say
Yeah.
it does. Let's say it's gonna be a great movie. Let's say it's a great movie. We're all like, that was top 5 Star Wars, top 7 Star, whatever. We love it, and it makes a ton of money. Are we now stuck in the OT time period? That time period forever? Because
No.
I like it and I like playing in that sandbox, but I wanted to see what's up next. I want to see where I don't know what lies ahead. And I know they can go in a different direction and take us some to storyline parallel to the sequels, but I kind of want to know. I kind of want to be in a new era. Like, show me new technology, show me new this and new that. And so if it does really well, and I know, and I'm thinking all of us collectively would probably think like, no, they can still do it. But as a studio that has shareholders and stockholders and 200,000 decision makers, are we stuck in that time period for a prolonged period of time?
I mean, I know we talked about this last week, but I want to see the Chiss. That's who I would like to see in the Rey movie. Jedi having to fight the Chiss as opposed to the Sith. Or
That'd be awesome.
it doesn't always have to be Sith. There could be people who are dangerous who don't have the Force. I mean, the clone soldiers, how many Jedi did they wipe out? I mean, yeah, it was a surprise attack, but the point is, the Jedi could just battle people who aren't Sith. Have them bring in the Chiss. I mean, it was enough to scare some like Grand Admiral Thrawn. They might be worse than the Empire. I'd like to expand on the Last Jedi. About the Syndicate. Maybe they're deadly. I thought they were going to be the main bad guys in Episode 9, and that story was just thrown out the window. But what happened to Kira? What happened? I like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the Shadow of the Empire, but bring in Prince Shizor or something, or his killer sex robot. I don't know.
Yeah, Star Wars by Lionsgate. I'm telling you, the crush. I think, man, you guys said a lot. I don't know where to start really, but the Mandalorian and Grogu, whatever it is titled, is that supposed to be a trilogy of films, or are we just kind of like sending one and seeing how it goes?
Just I
think what they should do is, because Mando is set right after Empire Strikes Back, I think whatever these movies end up being is where Mando now gets involved in like the main through line, and I think they should do a second film after this. I think it should be called Heir to the Empire. I think we should get the Mara Jades in this situation. I think we should go full tilt with some of the legends, and at the same time use Mando and Grogu to fill the gap leading up to The Force Awakens. But I think all of that has to happen in live action. At this point, like, if you go back and try to Clone Wars series the gap between, I don't think fans are gonna really receive that very well as like an apology or as a like makes everything better. But the way the fans are reacting to Grogu and Mando, I feel like even just Grogu, if it shifts to the focus on Grogu by himself and we figure out what he's doing during all of this. I keep telling people that are like, how could Luke make this decision? How many Jedi have to be in that temple when it blows up? Like, Ahsoka got to be in there. Ezra got to be in there. Because Disney will do it. Like, Grogu got to be in there. Like,
Don't
Disney
you
will just put them
that.
all in there and kill them all. And then
you kill Grogu.
Like, now I get it. Now
how do I get you off of
so
this?
Sad.
How do I get you off of this stream? But that's a great point, though. If they did that, chat, I want to hear from you. The TLJ haters, if they did that, if they kill Ahsoka, if they kill off Grogu, Ahsoka, and let's say it's Ben Solo kills off Grogu, Ahsoka, who else did you say? Mando's in there,
Ezra,
Boba Fett's in there, Ezra's in there,
Jason,
Balin Skull, Shin Han, every character we've ever met.
Jason Syndulla.
Jason Syndulla's in there.
Green hair.
But if they kill off, let's say Grogu, for some reason they get back to that. How would you guys feel about the direction that they took Luke Skywalker after that? If they would have done something like that,
I would see why he would be a bitter old man. all of that happened.
Like everybody wants him to be built up, you know. Like I think they can build him up, and I think they can show the temple full of all his friends and everybody training there. Like we've seen little bits and pieces of the training in the comic Rise of Kylo Ren. So there's a lot of Jedi there, man.
I thought they were gonna do like a whole like an endgame movie of the Mandoverse. Like they were going to bring Ahsoka and the Mandalorians and Thrawn all together. I thought they were besides the Mando and Grogu movie. I thought they were going to do like a big like endgame.
Well, the Thrawn stuff's still potential. The Cal Kestis, right?
Yeah,
Cal
and that's
Kestis
the Filoni
right.
directed movie that I guess is happening.
And then you could bring the Chiss in that. I think you need to bring in the Chiss because I think we need a new villain. It can't always be Jedi. It can't always be Jedi and Sith. If you want the Jedi, great, but does it always have to be the Sith? Can't we have a new villain?
In the chat, Ron saying, "I'll be brutally honest. I don't want to have any reminders of The Last Jedi."
And you got 3 people here who all think The Last Jedi is great.
I don't think we will get any reminders of it.
4.
As far as...
And then would not feel a thing. This is from Goof R35. I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
Would not feel a thing. It's too late already, which is a good point.
Kill all the Jedi. All right, cool. I agree. Rebels come.
You know what? They killed all of the Jedi in Order 66, and I wasn't that sad about it, to be honest. Because
they killed
off Ki-Adi-Mundi. Who cares about that guy?
But
what? He was born in 25.
Guy faked his own age. He's probably not even. It's not his own race. He probably lied about that.
He pretended not to hear about the death of Jedi. Great.
They killed off Yord and Jackie and the Acolyte.
That was shocking. Yeah.
I would argue those are the 2 best deaths we've got. Yord's death was the great, because I was like, I'm not a big fan of Yord. I don't think I like you. And then boom, and I was like, Yord's my favorite character ever. Get me off the Yords. I hope they make an action figure of Yord with a replaceable head with his neck.
No. Why have to go there?
But look, the show, I've said this before, the show wasn't my favorite show, but it had moments, and that was a moment. Like when those 2 died, I was like, let's go, kill them all, and they didn't. But I was like, because Ahsoka, I like the Ahsoka show. I know that one's like a very hit or miss for a lot of people, but I thought it was really cool until the end when it didn't end. But like Sabine getting stabbed, give me a break. Reva getting stabbed, give me everybody gets stabbed 100,000 times, and I'm just like, I'm so sick of it. And I was so happy when Jackie got it 3 times just to make sure. And I was like, yes, like that's how I was just like, that's how it should be, right? Like we should like.
And then you see their bodies the next day, so you know that they did not survive.
Right.
Can you imagine like yours hanging? I'm still good. No, you're not. Kicks him down. I just, you got like the blades. The blades have to be fearful. Like you have to fear the blade because that's the weapon. That is the weapon in the galaxy. And if you just make it like, I survived it. I put some tape on it. I'm good to go. It lessens everything. And now it's like every time there's a lightsaber fight, I'm like, well, who cares? Now Acolyte obviously put the fear back in it. Yeah, like every time in Ahsoka when they'd have a fight after that, I'm like.
But Acolyte, you could say, oh, that was 100 years before the Phantom Menace, so they didn't have the technology, and now it's super easy to save somebody from a lightsaber fight because they've brought the Bacta technology up so high.
It's almost too high.
Yeah, but they couldn't save Qui-Gon Jinn.
Because even in the Mandalorian, when what's her name, Mulan, gets shot.
Fennec Shand. Mulan.
Fennec Shand. Because she plays Mulan.
I know she played Mulan. By the way, I love Mulan's great. I was just listening to the soundtrack the other day because I was in the car with my daughter and the soundtrack came on. I'm like, this movie is. Why don't we talk about this movie enough? We don't need to right now. This is Star Wars stuff.
I remember when she was on Azrael Turns in the 1980s. So.
She was shot like point blank in the stomach, and the next thing you know, I've got these extra parts. Everything's totally fine now.
Because she's a robot, like Vader.
Yeah.
I think that's the one problem too is like because of Vader, the mod gang is plausible in Star Wars, but it's ridiculous because you're going too far. I think it's almost like you have to ground it in a way that Vader needs to almost be a one-off, and Lobot's like, when it becomes too common, that's when we start to overthink and overanalyze. Well, like not on purpose, we just do it as like human beings. We're like, this is getting ridiculous. But if you think about it, all of that would probably exist in that universe. Like if you could mod yourself, kids would go in and be like, I'm modding myself tonight. I'm going to make it so that I can have a blaster as a hand or something and do a spin when I shoot somebody. All of that would be very, like, I'm just saying, like, it makes sense, but it's like, you know, when something happens in real life, you're like, if this was a movie, it would be fake. That's what that feels like. It feels like you've gone too far using the technology. And everybody being saved in the back to, like, Luke was in there for like a week on Empire Strikes Back, and he was a Jedi Knight, like his father before him.
Well,
not at that point yet.
Well, you brought it up in your previous video. You know, Maul got cut in half and they got spider legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Vader, this is from GovR35. Vader just lost his limbs and burned his lungs. He never had blasters or lightsabers run through his torso. Yeah, he didn't get the the simple things. All right, speaking of Acolyte,
Yeah, but what about Grievous?
GV, GG.
Yeah, he was.
GG.
He like only had
A heart.
Yeah.
Half a lung.
Like
a
I
lung.
think like some skin around.
He's
his
more
eye.
brain than man now.
Grievous was awesome.
Okay.
I love Johnny.
Oh,
All
sorry,
right,
we're
let's
gonna go back. We're gonna talk
Acolyte.
Oshimir.
Yeah, Acolyte had the greatest death scene in Star Wars history. But it also had, I don't know if it had this or not, so you guys are gonna have to let me know. But the greatest romance in Star Wars? Is that what it is?
The
Is
most
it better than-
satisfying.
Yeah,
most
I-
satisfying, more than Han and Leia.
They
Well,
got
because
divorced.
Yeah.
They conceived Ben.
Yeah.
And look at what great parents they were.
I gotta
They
say that-
shipped him off.
Why do all the characters have to be so miserable when we meet them in every franchise? When they have like a 20-year gap, they're like, guess what? They're miserable now. Ghostbusters, Scream, everything. You're like,
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Oh, he was too miserable. I was like, come on. And there's no music in that movie. Where was the music? John Williams was like, I don't want to do this. Anyway, so I'm gonna yeah.
The Acolyte did have music, but I would say that was
No, I
the
mean
low
Indiana,
point.
no, Indiana Jones. I'm actually tired. The new Indiana Jones. So I'm talking about the Acolyte. Actually, the Acolyte, the first two episodes, I thought the music was great, and then there was a song.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about. What best romance was in the Acolyte? What? General Scott Grievous. This is from a chat. So let's go into it a little bit. Desi, you are all in on this. You brought it up on a live stream we did after one of the shows, I believe. I was oblivious to everything. I still haven't.
Were you oblivious to Reylo being a thing, and then you were shocked when they kissed at the end of The Rise of Skywalker?
You know what? No, I'll go into Reylo quickly. Reylo, I was oblivious to, and then we used to do a lot of videos with Josh at the Den of Nerds, and he was like, do you know this Reylo thing? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop it. And he's like, let's talk about Reylo. I don't know what you're talking about. So then I Googled Reylo. I started reading Reylo. I'm like, okay, sure. That was kind of like my feeling. I'm like, okay, I never saw it. I kind of saw it. And somebody was on the channel who commented on it a lot too. Like it was kind of a weird timing. And I was like,
Maybe
okay,
me.
I kind of, I was like, I kind of get it. I was like, I kind of get it, but I never saw it. And this is before Last Jedi. And I was like, okay, I kind of get it. And Josh and I did all these videos on Reylo, and they would do very well. Like people would like show up and I'm like, this is like and there was no negativity at this point yet. Like Last Jedi hadn't come out, so we were all good. But even with this talk beforehand, like that wasn't a thing. And then when Last Jedi came out, Josh called me, America to Canada, by the way, very expensive phone call. It was like a $25 phone call. We were on for 3 minutes, and we talked about Reylo. And then, but I remember leaving Last Jedi, and I sat beside my wife and my mom on both sides of me. And the movie Last Jedi ended, and I think I've said this before, so you may know where I'm going. But I stand up, and my mom goes, "So they're brother and sister, right?" And then Aaron goes, "Yeah, I think so." And I'm like,
No.
they're
How do you
Raylo.
watch?
How do you?
How do you?
Yeah,
how do you watch
were-
that and get brother and sister? Other than the fact that Luke and Leia kissed, so maybe that's what you think of when you think of siblings in Star Wars.
I think it's just, I think what it is you Star Wars. Everyone's related. Everyone's connected. And it's just, I think subliminally. I don't even think they were consciously thinking. I think it was just a subconscious thing where they're just like, this is how Star Wars operates. I think because neither one of them are obsessed with Star Wars, right? So I just think what they both love Star Wars, and I just think what they knew of Star Wars was just that was where they were going in their mind. And obviously, Rise of Skywalker, their opinions changed, but like at the time, they were like, that's where their heads were at. So the Raylo thing was, it was never like, it was. I was okay. Like, I know people say that it's toxic. I believe it's toxic. I think it's fiction. Like I'm like, it's whatever. But so I was always like, this is fine. And then because the comments were always positive, and the other thing too is they're very engaging. The comments, like it was always like a conversation would come out of it, and I was like, all right, I'm cool with this. Let's go for it. Anyway, that's where.
As an erotic horror writer, I will say that Ben Solo is the guy you fantasize about marrying, but Kylo Ren's the guy you fantasize about in your bedroom.
Like watching TV.
Yeah, watching Netflix.
Actually, watching the Rebel Scum podcast.
I'm a big fan, but I do. All right, let's go into the new one. It's the Stranger Qimir and Osha, and they have a name that I forget all the time, but and that is
Oshimir. Yeah.
it's Oshamir.
Oshimir.
Did I spell it wrong in the title?
I don't know.
I think
I think you got it right. You just can't pronounce it.
Yeah, that's just
Oshimir.
The hashtag I see all the time is Oshimir. And yeah, I would say that it's more satisfying than Raylo was because they're holding hands at the end and looking off into the sunset together. And yeah, they may be on the dark side of the Force, but that's as happy of an ending as you're going to get for a couple in Star Wars because Han and Leia broke up. Mara Jade was never even a thing. Padme died. Like there are no good romances in Star Wars because then they killed off Ben Solo. You could have had the Beauty and the Beast ending, but no, you decided to just kill him off for no reason. And at least with Oshimir, it's like they had all of this tension building up, and when he's talking about the dark side to her, and he talks about desire. I mean, I don't know any straight woman who could watch that and be like, nope, that's not doing it for me.
That's not funny, Dale.
Dale saying, wait till season 2 to make up your mind.
Vermont
Mike. Sorry, how you going?
I tweeted this out. Apparently, they filmed the scene. Originally, they weren't holding hands. They were actually making out in the sun during sunset, but that was scrapped and they reshot it with holding hands because they thought that was moving too fast because he killed all her friends. So they thought, yeah, there's a romance developing and they're drawn to each other because of the dark side, but they didn't think it was very believable that they would be kissing at that point. And also when they're making out, that's when Plagueis is spying on them. So I wondered if Plagueis is bringing them together. And you all laughed at me when I said this, but considering the fact that Desi has the theory that that Qimir changed his appearance, that he was originally blue-eyed blonde. I have the theory that Plagueis brought them together and they're going to make Sheevy. He'll just change his way he look, but maybe he'll take after his dad's real form because you said that you thought, because I guess you said the High Republic, he had
in the High Republic they had Imri, which I believe is Qimir. And Brock was saying, oh, but it's animated and you know that Imri is blonde blue-eyed. And I said, well, you know what? The Sith can body jump. They can essence transfer. So he probably just transferred his essence into Chimir's body. Although I don't know how that goes with reproduction. If when you reproduce, is that your original DNA or is that the body that you're in? I don't know. I don't know how that
I
works
mean, I don't know.
with the Force and the midichlorians.
I don't know, but I don't know if we're ever gonna know, and I'm upset because I want to see where this relationship's going. I want to see how the story ends. I don't know. Maybe just do a story about Qimir. Maybe you could do like a prequel with Qimir, but have it end where he and Osha are at this point.
I have so many questions. I have
I
so
hope
many
these two have so
questions.
many.
I have so many questions.
Go for it.
We got to back up because so for me, and I'm glad that you mentioned Beauty and the Beast, because for me, the end when they're holding hands is like Belle when she first meets the Beast, and he's like, "Hold my hand." I didn't really see her like willingly like interlacing fingers and like he seemed very forceful, almost Kylo Ren-esque, if you will.
You thought Qimir seemed forceful about holding her hand?
I think he
I
seemed a
thought that
little like
seemed
take
very
charge,
gentle.
and that
Oh no,
she
that's not how I
was
felt at
being
all.
kind of more of submissive and not really that into him.
That is 0% how I felt. I felt like he was being super gentle with her, and she was
Gentle, but also like
falling.
aggressive.
She was the one who was falling to the dark side. She was being seduced 100%.
Yeah.
Well, yes, falling to the dark side and being seduced are one thing, but
Being
falling in love with this person.
I didn't say falling in love. I said being
Okay.
seduced.
Okay, and I'm not saying they're in
And
love
I'm
either.
meaning
And the
being
like
seduced.
rewrite making out and like holding hands looking into the sunset. I didn't take that as I know, I'm just not taking that end scene as romance.
I'm taking it as seduction.
Okay.
In a romantic way, but not like a.
Maybe he's pitching it as romance, but that shit ain't coming out as romance on the other side.
When he was talking about the dark side and talking about desire, I don't know how you could see that as anything other than he's trying to get in her pants, especially with the skinny dipping in front of her.
I mean,
and
he's
asking her, how does it feel in your hand when she picks up his lightsaber? When she's got the lightsaber up to his neck, he like gently caresses her arm. It was very, very sexual. Everything about Osha and Qimir.
I mean, the dark side do be feeling like that sometimes.
I mean, Heidi, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the audio clips from that scene.
Yeah, that's what I gotta say. You need to go back and watch and rewatch episode 6 with the audio one.
Oh, are you guys watching it with the audio descriptions and all of the
because the audio description will be like she
reads like a romance
at his
novel.
top body.
All she could see was all right. Man.
That's what imagine the porno scene in the holiday specials.
No.
Yeah.
You do what that
and the desire, like, okay, so
she was
him talking about desire and all of that stuff was like one of the first moments he's speaking about the dark side and how it tempts you and how it brings you in and all that stuff. I mean, maybe he is trying to pull her desires of him out, but I think it's really like her vulnerabilities of these emotions that are gonna ultimately leave her open for the dark side to come in. I think that's more his end, but more his end goal is the dark side and her turning the lightsaber, not falling in love with him.
I didn't say love.
Okay.
I'm
saying Oshimir, like it's going to be the best romance. That's how we started this conversation. Best romance in Star Wars. So I'm just trying to draw a line.
The most sexual chemistry in Star Wars. Is that better?
Sure. Yeah, I like that because dark side's sexy sometimes.
He wants to give her the dark side.
I mean, Anakin was drawn to the dark side because of love for Padme, and that's actually what made him eventually kill her. That's actually a theme in a lot of literature where someone turns to evil to protect the person they love, and it turns out they're the one who ends up killing them in the end. I have a feeling that if the story continues, it's probably not going to end well for them. But
In
I don't know.
my
I think women are more into this than men are.
obviously in
Well,
my
hold on. No, not obviously. It's not obvious in the story that he's trying to
Read
have
my books.
sex with her.
you really didn't think that it was obvious in the story that he was trying to have sex with her?
No.
I didn't either.
100%
You
no.
You two told me. Yeah.
I think that you might be like very passionate about it. I don't think that it was very clear, and that the dark side was mentioned during every single one of their engagements.
But it
I
was very
encourage you to go back and
sensual
rewatch.
the way he talked to her.
That was really
Sure,
sexual.
and go and like specific lines that are. Go ahead. You have it. I'm sure you have the examples. You guys have seen it way more than me. I'm just saying, the desire is the dark side. The holding the lightsaber, like, do you feel it? Do you feel the dark side? Do you feel the pull? She would feel the pull to the light side if she was holding a light side lightsaber. No,
I don't think he was talking about the pull to the dark side, and I don't think he was talking about the lightsaber. I think that was a double entendre.
Surely, yeah. Well,
I think you should go back and rewatch
just a simple
some of
man,
these
I guess,
scenes
then.
again, especially with the audio cues on.
I think women see it differently than men see it.
That
I mean, the approach when he's naked,
and again
sexual,
with
sure, because he's
and again
naked,
with
but
Raylo, I think. I mean, I don't know how anyone leaves The Last Jedi thinking that they're brother and sister, other than James's family. Because I was like, that is like so in your face, in my opinion, that this is a romantic connection that I don't understand how people did not see it. But maybe it's because, like, I'm a woman. I like reading things like Pride and Prejudice, where I'm like, oh, he is Mr. Darcy and she's Elizabeth. This is exactly what's going on here.
But so how does that play out, just for reference for people who don't understand? Because I feel like that would help me.
It's an enemies to lovers trope. It's a very popular trope. It's basically like they hate each other at the beginning, usually because of a misunderstanding. There are things that happen, at least with the Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth thing. He falls in love with her, but she still thinks he's evil. And she doesn't realize that, there's good underneath of that, because she just sees his hard exterior. And he proposes in the middle of the book and is like, guess what? I love you. And she's like, what? You're crazy. You're evil. No, I'm gone. And that's basically where I thought that The Last Jedi ended. And I thought that the final movie would have ended the way that Pride and Prejudice does, where Mr. Darcy proves himself to be a good person and then earns Elizabeth's hand.
And that's how that ends.
Happened, but he died.
He turns
right.
Like, and in the end, they turn to the same side, whatever that direction is.
Yes.
It's pointing north, right?
Yes.
There are two motivations that both these characters have that do not align. Qimir wants a pupil. That is his number one motivation. Osha wants to save her sister. That is her number one motivation. That's why she turned to the dark side. So those factors, I think, are gonna. I mean, I would love to see how the story plays out. You know what I'm saying? But I think where it ends with the hand holding, she's still just like, "Okay, dude, I'm holding your hand because you're gonna show me the way to the dark side, whatever that leads to." Sure, but I just think it's not 100% obvious that it's gonna be sexy time.
I mean, Star Wars is based a lot on Japanese culture, and this is a lot of stories in Japanese culture. You got the yandere, which is what I write. You got we're talking about enemies to lovers, to tsundere. So I think a lot of that comes from things like that. I've posted my stories online. I've had people say, "Oh, that I find that highly offensive what you've written." And I've also had people write me and say, "Thank you. I thought there was something wrong with me. Thank you for letting me know I was normal for having these feelings." I think women have these feelings a lot more than they want to admit, and men don't realize that. So I think women are going to find it more than men are. Also, I mean, he could be a sociopath, and he's just seducing her to
and he was
bend
doing a
her
great
to his
job.
will. Yeah, I mean, because he got
seduced.
made. He got made because out of revenge. Osha was basically seeking love. that's all she was ever seeking. She was seeking love from Saul. She was seeking love from Jackie. He killed Jackie. She killed Saul. So now he's offering her love. So he's going to get a pupil no matter how much, no matter what. He tried it for wanting revenge through May, and then he tried wanting love through Osha. Maybe he does have feelings for Osha. I don't know. We're not going to know because we're not going to get season 2.
Right.
And
And we
I'm
also,
upset about that.
I mean,
I'm
and
just saying, I don't think that that was a platonic relationship, and I find it shocking that anybody can watch The Acolyte and think that Osha and Qimir didn't fall to the dark side together, wink,
Many
wink,
times.
nudge, nudge way.
Many times.
I love the discussion.
I'm sorry,
I love
James.
They played with his lightsaber a lot.
I am a fan of it going either way. For the record,
I mean, like in Last Jedi, the very sexual in the hut with them touching hands
I call
across
it the
the
smut
stars.
hut.
Yeah, but in a way, not only is it sexual, but I feel like she's drawing him to the light and he's drawing her to the darkness at the same time.
And
bro, the way Luke reacted, everybody thought she was pregnant right there. So.
Ryan Johnson said it was the closest thing to a sex scene we'll get in Star Wars when they touched hands
I think
like
he's
that.
wrong because I think Andor was really pushing that, and I think this show, if they got a
Yeah, but
second
that was
season of Acolyte,
They would have gotten
think-
it. Yeah.
I think second season. I don't know where I stand on this or anything, but I want to keep this as a great conversation. I want to keep.
I think if Luke did not interrupt, then Rey would have been pregnant.
So do you think the morning? Sorry, last question on this. Do you think the morning after Qimir paid for her taxi, or?
I think that he gave her a lift in his ship himself.
Just curious.
Yeah. All right, let's talk. Let's talk about some of the implications this could have for the guy. If this is the case, if they are romantically involved, aside from birthing ShiVP, which chat, there's a poll up right now. If you haven't voted, vote on if Qimir and Osha are the mommy and daddy for ShiVP.
Ron will never come back. Ron will never come back. He is joining the fray on the front lines. He's holding.
Ron, I haven't emailed Ron, but I'm going to email Ron. We're going to have him on because we need to hear.
Nice.
Actually, if there are any female listeners, I mean, people listening or watching, I would like to see their comments on this subject. See what they say.
I can tell you are two of the three females who watch the channel.
I just think that I think that Qimir and Osha had a more satisfying ending because they were both alive. And that is probably my biggest gripe with the Reylo storyline, is that they shouldn't have killed Ben off.
And I hate to say it because everybody hates when I say this, but I don't think there was ever a world in which J.J. Abrams was going to allow Kylo Ren to survive. As long as J.J. Abrams, even back in 2013, 14, when he started writing, I don't think there was ever in his mind a chance that he was going to survive. I'm just saying that, because I do say that.
He did write The Force Awakens, which is a very Beauty and the Beast movie. When we meet Rey, her theme song sounds like the Beauty and the Beast theme song. When we meet Rey in her little house, she has a bell sitting next to a wilted flower. I don't know how else you could put in there, this is Beauty and the Beast in space, other than the Rey theme sounding almost exactly like the Beauty and the Beast theme and a wilted flower next to a bell. I really thought that this was going to be Beauty and the Beast in space, and except for at the end, when the Beast turns into a human again, instead of living happily ever after, no, he just dies. That's how The Rise of Skywalker ended to me, and that's why I did not feel satisfied with the Reylo ending. Yes, they kissed. Yes, he came back to the light side, but then he immediately died, and there was no happy ending. She goes off to Tatooine by herself, and none of that makes any sense, but I can go off on another rant on that. But that is why Reylo was not satisfying to me the way that Oshimir was.
What if the Rey movie, she dies and then her spirit meets with him, and we get the ending like somewhere in time. I was like, I don't know if you saw it. It's a
I can see them
Christopher
pulling
Reeve
something like
movie.
that out.
The only thing that I could see redeeming the Rey movie for me and me wanting to even see it is if Ben Solo is in there, and possibly, I don't know how, if either he didn't actually die or he impregnated her before he died or somehow impregnated her through the Force even after he died, and then that is how we continue on with the Skywalkers, and they can keep the Skywalker name and they would actually have Skywalker blood.
We did so many videos on her being pregos after one of those movies. So many videos on that.
In my head, canon, his Force Ghost chimeras her quite often, but
what are the implications if so let's go back to the implications of Qimir that's not even his name. That's what's great about it. Is his name is he doesn't have a name. They call him Stranger. I think
What's
they
his
wanted
name?
us to all the
The
Desi knows
Stranger.
it. No, Desi knows his name.
Like Manny
Okay.
Jacinto? Like his real
No,
name?
no,
Or
no, you said it before. His real name.
Qimir?
No, because you said that he's
Ren?
no.
Oh,
He,
you
that he
think
was
he is Amari?
Oh, Imre.
Oh,
Emery,
right.
Yeah.
Emery, yeah.
Okay.
Potentially
Chimeri.
from High Republic. Yeah.
Okay, so kind of what if obviously we're not getting season 2. Let's all just accept that and move on right now.
I want a Chimera show at least.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean the story that is happening can't continue in some other form. Hopefully, not in a book or a comic. Hopefully, they stick with TV or something, and they hide it in another show. It's like, this is the Sith show. It's about Darth Maul, and then like, it's not Darth Maul. It's Darth Rex Maul, and then they have like Qimir as the side character or whatever. What could they lead to? Because obviously, we know it has to lead to She-VP.
Eventually, but that's going to be like another 80 years down the road, probably after they're dead.
I'm not saying this is an issue. I'm saying, what are the implications of the galaxy? Like, what could their union mean for the galaxy as a whole?
The Knights of Ren.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So either the Sith are back, or they team up to make the Knights of Ren, because he looked kind of like Kylo Ren, the helmet and everything. I thought, it would make more sense, since there has to be a rule of 2 and we know that Plagueis is out there. It would make more sense if they decided they did not want to be Sith, because even Qimir himself said, a Jedi might call me a Sith, but I don't have a name. So he doesn't consider himself a Sith. So I like the idea that Osha and Qimir are the founders of the Knights of Ren.
I can't remember in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic if the Ren, the former, or the guy with the mask, if he used the Force or if he just had the red lightsaber.
I thought he used the Force, but he wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't as strong.
Yeah, I think there will come a time with the Knights of Ren where it's like maybe they were a very powerful group of Force users, but their numbers have dwindled, and we see them not with no lightsabers later on. But I think that would be cool. I find it funny too how fans we accept people like Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati who just come out of nowhere with red lightsabers, and we have no explanation.
I thought those were orange.
Right, yeah. But we have no explanation of the backstory or how where they came from, but we're not willing to accept that these two now both red lightsaber wielding people could lead to something like the Knights of Ren. That's very possible.
I think we know that Baylan is a former Jedi, but he hasn't fallen quite all the way to the dark side. That's right, and that's why Shin Hati still has the look of with the rat tail and everything.
Yeah,
Padawan. Padawan.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of videos coming out on Digital Charcuterie about both of those: Qimir, Knights of Ren, and Baylan being a Jedi. They're coming this week, I think. I have things lined up. I like to talk Star Wars. This is what I miss about Star Wars so much, and that's why it's fun to do these. And thanks guys for coming here and doing it, because it's I miss just talking about it and having a good time and speculating and being like, oh, I really like these two. They're a couple. No, they're not. Yes, they are. And we have a good time with it. And Kiadi Money's birthday, I don't care about, but this stuff, It's way more because the thing, like, and even though we know where it's going, it's like, yeah, but how do we get there? It's the journey of how we get there. And that being said, I still want the Rey movie, not just for Rey, but for moving forward in the timeline of Star Wars. I want to know what's out there, like what is beyond, right? Because you know what else? You know what I'd really love to see, and tell me if you guys would as or not. But after CVP becomes the Emperor, because the prequels are and the High Republic, it's so pretty, right? Everything's so nice and clean. I want to see the galaxy start to deteriorate and start to, like, how did we get from that to the original trilogy aesthetic? What was going on? And I don't need obviously a movie about buildings being deteriorating, but just show me how the galaxy was afraid during that time period where the Empire was around, and him taking and him doing what he did to all these planets and basically ruining the galaxy. I would love to see that. And maybe part of that starts with Oshimir. Oshimir.
I mean, they
that's
could do
too
that in
early,
Andor.
though.
Shh.
Yeah.
So it could be too early, but show me the beginnings of it.
I mean, I this is off topic. I want to see Emperor. I want to see Emperor the politician, CVP, in Andor, but I don't want to see Darth Sidious. If you put Darth Sidious in Andor, it's gonna mess up Andor. But if he's there, I want to see the guy that everybody likes, who's the politician, who's obviously
Yeah.
fake, but everybody. That's what I want to see. But if you put in Darth Sidious, it's just gonna ruin Andor. So you have to be careful about that.
I think he's sorry, Scotty.
Just back to like implications about the show. I think that the Plagueis implications are a lot bigger than I would say, no offense, casuals. You're out there, you exist, your opinions matter. But I'm just saying, the people that aren't reading the High Republic comics and don't understand that, like, okay, Vernestra Rose, master and former apprentice, both perished in the Starlight Beacon accident. Plagueis is here. He's a century old, potentially. Like, that's their lifespan if they want to stick to the EU or whatever it is. So they're also confirming that, like, he witnessed all this stuff go down in the High Republic. They could include him in live action High Republic stuff.
I believe he said he was well over a century old by the time they had that book. So I don't know why people are like, oh, he was 100 by then.
Yeah, like, Disney could literally tie Plagueis back to the end of the Old Republic, and he's the dude that survived and carried it on all the way through the High Republic in hiding. So I don't know. There's huge implications with the timing of the end of the High Republic and Plagueis being around during this time as well.
Well, I want to know what Vanessa Rose said to Yoda.
Yeah.
What does he know? Does he know about Oshimir? Does he know? Did she tell him everything? Did she tell him, oh, that I accidentally whipped my student and now he's become a dark side user? I want to know what that conversation was.
I mean, obviously, the theory that we're on is that he was her student, but maybe there was something else going on there in the past. Maybe they were the original Oshimir. maybe they were Chimestra. Have you thought of that? Chimestra.
She can't have attachments. She's a Jedi.
Exactly. That's why she whipped him.
I don't think I want to go down this road.
Yeah.
Maybe he liked it.
Oh man, Oshimir. Look, I don't know what their plan would have been for them going forward. Do you think we would have seen like a more romantic side to them in season 2, or would they have?
I think that we would have seen them getting busy, and I think eventually one of them would have had to kill the other. That's what I think.
Would they have done this? Was this them getting busy?
They were gonna. I mean, I'm pretty sure they would have made out at one point because they made out originally. It was. I would like to see the film of them making out. That would be interesting.
I want to see her giving into her desires.
Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's definitely dark side now. I'm just interested at really how she resists at this point. But she's trying to get her sister back. Yeah, right. So I don't know, man. I think also, like, I I wish they would do more with it, because the fact that like they were one mind split into two,
Yeah.
and now the one sister's memory is completely erased. Like maybe there is a side of the other brain memory that could awaken all hers back to her. But I just wish that there was more to why they split the consciousness or why that happened. I don't know.
I believe I read in an interview with the director that they didn't do that intentionally. Like they were trying to create life the same way Anakin did, and they accidentally split them. And that is why Osha and May will never be as powerful as Anakin, because they were split.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
When
I
did you
wonder if
wait?
like
When did you
Osha
hear
was
that?
the super.
I think that was an interview with Leslie Headland,
This is
before the
frustrating.
end of the series.
This is frustrating though, is that is interesting information that I would love to have known from the show. You know, like this, like they keep like they don't want to give us all the info. Just give me the info. I don't like. I know I'm not here for your mystery boxes. Just give me the info. It's because that is intriguing to me. Like those aspects of it, right, are intriguing. Instead, we get which 2 and 1 and many. I don't care about your singing and dancing. Just tell me the
And
info.
I know people were upset. They're like, "Oh, that means that Anakin wasn't the first one created with the Force." Well, Anakin was the first one created with the Force, and also the Force created him itself, versus these twins being, manipulated into creation.
Well, if you
Because,
believe in the, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I mean, we have been told that Darth Plagueis was so wise in the Force that he could manipulate the midichlorians to create life. So I don't know why everybody's like, "Oh, I can't believe life was created before Anakin." We were told that life was created before Anakin. So I absolutely
I
have
mean,
issues with the Acolyte. I do not think it's a perfect show. I hated the witches, but there are some things that people hate about on the internet that I think are not founded.
Agreed.
like I was
100%.
wondering, like, if you believe in like a person having like an ego, and I'm wondering if Osha was the super ego, and May was the id of this person and got split in half. And that was shocking, is that the super ego went to the dark side and the id did not. Because
See, that's where I'm at. My mind went to all kinds of stupid theories. Like, okay, were they successful in creating this all powerful whatever being, but for whatever reason, the vessel that they created it in wasn't strong enough to hold it, and that's why the twins were created? Like, was there something there to maybe a potential chosen one? But we'll never know.
I want to know because Qimir obviously comes across these witches. Is that why he comes across? Because does Plagueis send him there? Like, is he on a mission to find them? Is he on a mission to find the virgins in the Force for Plagueis to get to that point where he can find, where he can live through death?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to tell from the one scene that we got if Qimir knew that Plagueis was there, or if Plagueis was just like sneaking in. At least when I watched it, my initial gut feeling was that Plagueis was snooping. Maybe he was trying to find an apprentice, but he hadn't found one yet. But I mean, maybe Qimir knew he was there and was working for him the whole time. I don't know. I don't think that's something we're ever going to know.
But like we never found out what the virgins was. Was it the tree? Was it the volcano? Was it the actual twins? Like,
I thought they said the twins were the virgins.
yeah, but was it drawn by the tree? Was it drawn by the volcano?
I'm thinking the tree, because they were all over that tree. Again, I wish they would give us, like, because the one thing, like Book of Boba Fett, which I know one of 7 people who enjoyed it, but I understand why people didn't. Okay, there's 3 of us here.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I like The Last Jedi, so what do I know?
But here's the thing, though. At least that was a complete story. Or at least Boba Fett had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and we all moved on. And it does. But this one was like, I felt like this one had like an ending. Like, I was like, okay, but there was too many little things in there that were brought up. That I'm like, if you just would have explained that, I think a lot of people would have been more invested in what they were doing, especially with that. Because what was the point of that tree? It was a cool looking tree, but I didn't know anything because I was like, I think the first time I saw it, I go, oh, is that like the one on Acto? Like, is it that kind of tree? Like, is it a forest tree? But there's never any talk of that. Instead, they spend 4 days of Saul. I have something to tell you. Not yet, though. The power's off. But I'll tell you when the power's on. The power's on. No time. We got to. And it's like, just tell the damn story. We're all sitting here. We've only got 8 weeks. Just tell me the story. And then when he finally does, like, yeah, we saw that already. Like, I saw that so many times. I don't care about you. So I wish they would, like, honestly just stop withholding the information. Give it to. I was also thinking about this because we talked, I think, last week with the Force Awakens books that came out, and they were like with the black and white cover. Remember where it kind of fleshed out Finn, Poe, and Rey, and they had all those cool tie-ins. Imagine if they would do that again for new content that we were getting for like, imagine the Acolyte coming out and there was already books on Qimir, or maybe not because they wanted that twist. But you got like these little books going around, and you don't have to give away the spoilers. But if we knew a little bit about the characters, especially if we had a book, I know Vernestra's in the High Republic, but imagine just like a Saul book, a Jecki book, a Yor book, like get them in there.
We're getting a Kelnaka book and a Yord book, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we're getting. I want have that before. Like, give it to me before. Let me know who some of these characters are beforehand, and I can get excited for your show. And I think they're missing out on that stuff. The tie-ins beforehand aren't anywhere. I bought bananas. It had minions on it. Where's my BB-8 bananas, Disney? Where's my BB-8 bananas?
They would be oranges. Don't be ridiculous.
But I miss those tie-ins that I didn't look. I'm too old for a lot of those things. Don't get like a lot of them are for kids, but that's who you got to get. You got to get the kids. When I was a kid, I had an Alf Goes to Camp book. Do you think anyone cares about Alf going to camp? I did when I was in grade 1, first grade, whatever you guys call it. So like that, we need those tie-in books because that's what I think Star Wars is desperately missing. Those type of things, and they do it too late, and now nobody cares. Those High Republic books that are coming out. The 47 people that signed the petition for season 2 to come in are going to buy that book. Maybe that's it. No one's going to buy that book. If you do it beforehand, oh man, I'm really, you can drive up interest.
Well, I was confused because they were talking about how this all. I think I said this last week, but they're talking about the hubris and the corruption of the Jedi Council, and that's what led to this mistake. And it's like, no, because when Saul said, I fear these kids' lives are in danger, the Jedi Council was like, no, leave them alone. Don't bother them. We don't have any proof that they're doing anything wrong. And the only reason why they got involved is because the witches put a spell on that young guy, and he went crazy, and he went to grab the twins so he could prove there was a virgins, because like every other Padawan, he was whiny and wanted to go home. But so I didn't feel like how are you teaching us that the Jedi Council is corrupt and full of hubris when they're actually wanting to do the right thing? I mean, basically everything went wrong because nobody talked to anybody else. Everybody just had assumptions. If somebody had just talked to somebody, it wouldn't have gotten to that point. And
sounds also, like YouTube drama.
And also Scotty was like, I felt like he was getting a little creeped out by the whole Oshimir. I mean, I thought Saul's attraction to Osha was really creepy.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think there's a bunch of creeps in the show.
Yeah.
Why was he so obsessed with saving these children, man?
He didn't give a rat's ass about May. He only wanted to save Osha. In fact, his dying words were, "I love you."
And we don't know why, and it'll probably come up in one of the books, and 47 people will read it, and one will tweet it out. And in 10 years, they'll make a show, and it'll contradict that quote, and somebody will go ballistic on YouTube, and that's how it's going to be.
I mean, there are parts of the Acolyte that were amazing, and other parts you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, very, very high highs and very, very low lows. That's how I would describe the Acolyte. But
it's a very long conversation to say 2 words: bad writing.
But I would still like to see a second season of the Acolyte, because I feel like the second season would have been better than the first, because you're getting rid of some of those things that were bad. We're not going to have the witches because they're all dead. We're not, like, all of the things that were bad about the first season of the Acolyte, I feel like would not have been an issue in a second season. In the second season, we can focus more on Qimir. We can get more into the dark side. We can find out what Plagueis was doing. all of that seems way more interesting to me than what the first season had anyways. So I'm really disappointed that we're not getting a second season because I think it would have been better.
And also, you can do a good show with the villain's point of view, because episode 15 of Mandalorian, for a split second, without thinking, we were all rooting for the Empire when they came to rescue him after Mando and Bill Burr were driving that tank, and they were being attacked by the locals, but also they had to worry about not driving the tank too fast because it was going to blow up.
Well,
And then the Empire comes in, and we're all cheering. It's like, wait a minute, I'm cheering for the Empire. So if you write it in a good way, there is a way you can write to follow along with the bad guys.
And in Andor, you find yourself rooting for Dedra. Like, yeah, climb that ladder. You go, boss babe. Oh, wait, no, you're with the Empire. Like,
I think where Acolyte ended, I've said this so many times. That's where I was hoping it would start, right? Is like, that is what so yeah, season 2 would be great. The problem, of course, is the ratings were so bad, but the ratings weren't great for Andor either.
Andor also started really slow. Like the first couple episodes of Andor, I was like yawning through. You had to get through at least half Andor season before you're like, yes. But once you got to those points, when you got to the point with the eye, or you got to the point with the prison break, then you're all in. But you had to get there first, was the problem with Andor.
I think they were smart for dropping 3 episodes at once.
Yeah.
And Andor actually also had, I think, one of the most characters in a show. So like characters like Cyril just carried for a couple episodes, and the writing was really good on a lot of these characters. So definitely had a lot of good things going for it. But I, again, will say, like, the YouTubers carried that show for the first 4 or 5 episodes, and the casual people just checking it out were like, this doesn't really feel like Star Wars, but it feels like a really good spy show. So yeah, they just got to find that magic, it's hard.
It's also the one that got nominated for an Emmy, or not Emmy or Peabody. I mean, it got a lot of prestigious awards that other Star Wars did get. And also, the guy who wrote and directed it, I mean, he pissed off a lot of fans by saying, oh, yeah, it'd be good for Star Wars, Natalie Portman, not realizing Natalie Portman wasn't in Star Wars. He didn't say, I'm making a good... he didn't say, I'm going to make a Star Wars show. He said, I'm just going to make a good show.
Yeah.
And he didn't care about pleasing people.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best show.
The guy who played Yord also said that Anakin blew up the Death Star and really pissed off the internet.
Like, what those things don't... It was a weird comment. But those things don't bother me, because I don't think the creatives necessarily need to be obsessed with what they need to like it. I think they need to like Star Wars. Like, they should be good writers, and any questions they have, they should go to the story group who has all the answers. Like I said, they need that one room with like Filoni and Hodal, whoever the hell's in there. You go in there, you're like, hey, I have this and this, and they're like, actually, it's this and this. Like Saw Gerrera in the original draft of Rogue One was just like some nobody, and somebody said, we have a character for that, and they put in Saw Gerrera, and now freaking Forrest Whitaker can retire because he keeps getting placed in things with Saw Gerrera. He can go to every convention he wants. He's going to sign everything for $4 million. So he's good to go. But like, I think that is when it's at the strongest. Is it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's obsessed with the material. It has to be someone who's good at it, and then find somebody to collaborate and flesh it out.
Actually, Leslie Headland was a big Star Wars fan. She was really big into the EU, and she brought in things like Cortosis that I thought were super cool. But maybe she should have been more in the let's bring in some of these cool aspects rather than writing the full story, because I think that was where the Acolyte lacked, was that it didn't feel like the pacing was all over the place.
Yeah. And she said too, like multiple times, that she had people there checking her and handing her notes. So it's like she handed the script to everybody. They got the last page and they're like, play this in the cave. Yeah, send it. Like, I don't know. So I wish there was one person with more control. I wish they would give us a roadmap. I wish we got, like, they put those roadmaps out there and they tell us these different time periods. Okay, cool. Tell us what you're talking about during that time period. Give me something.
But that's the thing. There's no plan right now, and so that's why I brought with the Aftermath books last week or whenever it was. It's like, okay, I read these cool books, Aftermath. but no one knew what the hell the sequel trilogy was about. So the guy writing these books is like, well, I'm rating what's our end plan? All right, Gallius Rax. Does that sound good? All right,
Yeah.
Gallius, and we're all like, that's Snoke, and he's like, it can't be Snoke because they don't know who Snoke is yet. But Gallius, and it's like, I mean, it was great for theories,
Exactly.
but like, it's hard to get. People said this on one of our streams where it's like, it's hard to get hyped for like doing these kind of like these theory type videos. It's hard to get hyped for them now when you know that they don't know what they're doing. Like when they know what you, because you can be like, oh man, Snoke is this guy, but the minute you find out that they're making up as they go along, it's like, so are we. It's hard to get excited to do that, and I feel like a lot of these shows feel like that, where it's like, what's the point of doing these speculations when they're not like? But I like this. This is what Star Wars should be fun. We should be having fun with it. Donald Glover, who's going to join us on this show. He doesn't know that yet, but he's going to join us on this show. It's not that Donald Glover.
Your neighbor happens to be
Danny.
named.
My neighbor is Donald Glover. He's going to call him Donnie G. He's coming on the show. No, but I think I agree with him when he said Star Wars should be fun. I didn't agree when he said the Skywalker stuff is always so serious. I'm like, I think he might be referring to the people who talk about the Skywalker saga. Maybe that.
Yeah.
But I'm good, man. I think you gotta. I appreciate what they were trying to do with the Acolyte. I wasn't crazy about it. I really liked where it ended, and I really liked the Stranger Qimir guy. I was like, I want more of this. Like as soon as that switch happened, especially, I was like, all right, let's go. And they
when we got to episode 5 and you see him just running through all the Jedi and making Jedi shish kebab and breaking Yord's neck and 3-hole punching Jackie, I was like, yes, let's freaking go. I want more of this Qimir guy. Yeah. If we can't get a season 2, then I would be happy to see a prequel that doesn't include any Acolyte characters, where we're just seeing, Qimir becoming, falling to the dark side. His evil origin story, I guess.
I like them because he can have fun.
Go ahead.
Scotty?
I would just say that I like them because I...
Go.
Chat. Video chat's the best.
All right. I was just saying that I like them because I thought, here's a villain who was willing to have fun and laugh at himself and be, quote unquote, Darth Jar Jar. Even though it was obvious who he was from the beginning.
Because he was pretending to be like this goofy guy, but really he was, this badass.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, does anybody think, I think the only way you do Plagueis is a movie. Do you think because it ended on a Plagueis cliffhanger that we could actually get a Plagueis movie that starts this next arc of storytelling?
I would be for that.
I would be all in. I don't know if the general public would be, though, because I know that when I saw Plagueis on the screen, I flipped out. I was like, oh my God. And my husband's like, what? I don't get it. Who is that guy? And of course I had to be like, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? But
this is my point, James, right here.
Yeah.
That I would love it, but I don't know about the general public if that would sell movie tickets.
See, I think they should drop it on ABC.
Disney
The Acolyte
is what they would do.
My whole thing is, why introduce one of the most important characters of the era and not have something already in mind? I think there's something probably already in mind, and that might be why a show is not going to continue this.
Season 2 was what was in mind. But...
I agree. I think here's the thing with the Plagueis. So if it's
I don't think you Disney Plus Plagueis.
Well, okay, I'll go along. No, I'm going to go along with the movie route that you suggested, because I would obviously watch it. But I think when you do a movie, you have to bring the audience in. And are they going to want to sell and believe that they will recoup their earnings with a dark side centric movie? Like if we don't have a hero, so they're gonna have to figure out a hero to put in there that people are going to want to be interested in. They can do that. They did it with Rogue One, right? They had nobodies in that, and we all went to go see it. So you do that, you have Plagueis, but the movie's actually has to be a dark side movie, I think, and I think it's got to end with a bloodbath of Jedi. Because I want to watch that. I just want to watch Jedi die. But I think you can totally do it, but you have to have a hero that you can sell the audience on, and then crush that guy or girl's soul at the end
Yeah,
of that movie.
whoever the hero is would have to die because, like the same thing in the Acolyte, all of the Jedi who knew about Qimir had to die.
Well, now hang on. Why can't it be an anti-hero story with Palpatine being the one taking out Plagueis?
Palpatine's rise to power and how he, overcome his abuser.
See, I think if you spin
Save
it
the
that
galaxy from Plagueis.
If you spin it that way, then I think you have something. So I guess it depends on how they play it, but you're going to have Jedi in there. People are going to want to see that, and they're going to want to do it. So I would be all in on it, but I don't think they're going to do it. I just think they are too afraid now to touch that time period, because don't forget, Scotty, you're a prequel guy. I love the prequels to death. I just love them. But when Disney bought Lucasfilm, the prequels they did not want to touch that crap with a 10-foot pole. Like, Clone Wars, you're out of here. OT Rebels, you're in. And I feel like with the Acolyte, they're just like, whoa, back off that whole time period again. They're afraid to touch it. Prequel stuff will probably just be sprinkled in a little bit, but because they're warming up to the prequels a lot now, because the prequel kids are all getting older, which means I'm getting older. But so
I don't want to go back to the OT.
That brings us back to our earlier discussion of if Mando and Grogu is a massive hit, are we stuck in that time period for the next 100 years? Because they're like, the only thing that works in Star Wars is this time period. That's the only thing that works. Like, that's my fear. Is that
just put Luke Skywalker and everything, whatever.
if I ran Disney, I would drop it on either ABC or Fox, and let
Acolyte.
Yeah. Because maybe it would find an audience that way. They've already spent the money, so.
I would watch a sitcom.
Garth Knight, a sitcom with Plagueis.
Everybody loves Qimir.
Everybody loves. Yeah, I think the Acolyte would. I mean, I think if it was on ABC, people would watch it. They did. What show did they do that with? Echo?
They did the first 2 episodes of Andor.
Oh, they did Andor.
The first 2 episodes. That's it.
He needed at least 3, though.
I know.
It
makes no sense to me. They should do that with Acolyte, but remove episode 3 and 7, or just use 7.
Just drop episode 5. That's it. That's the only episode you get on ABC, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
How is there not a second season of this? And then everyone's like, "I blame Scotty for not seeing the Oshimir romance for what it is." Looking at the chat, what do we got? A lot.
I mean, back to Lego. Lego was dropped all at once. I think some of the Star Wars shows should be once a week, but things like the Acolyte, I think it would have done better if it had been dropped all at once.
Yeah, I love weekly, but I think their big issue and I've said this to death too, is just they're cutting these movies up into episodes and then making the episodes whatever, and it's just not. I think it works for Netflix because you can binge Netflix all in one shot. But when you wait a week, like, again, I bring it back to episode 4, which was the most disingenuous thing you can do to an audience, and I like that episode, but the whole episode was just talking, which was right up my alley. But it's just talking, and then you make the audience is with you. They sit with you, and then the minute something's about to happen, you're like, next week, and you knew it was coming all episode, like you just knew. And I didn't like that. But if you binged it, you go right into the next one, so you wouldn't have that effect on you at all. And I think it would save it. I'd really love to sit down with somebody who watched it weekly, like maybe just casual fans, like watched it weekly, and then somebody who binged it, and have a conversation with them afterwards and just see how they feel about this show. Like, I think Mando season 3, also Boba Fett, also Ahsoka, a lot of that I felt that way for. I'd really love to hear what you can't do. I can say it now, but I would. And Heidi, you did this with your sister, I believe.
Yeah, she always prefers to, like, I don't know, it's amazing. I don't know why people play it, but yeah, because you're watching all at once.
It's interesting how TV shows are written differently. On my other show, I review things that are on Disney Plus. And one of the things we reviewed recently was Once Upon a Time, the first season of Once Upon a Time. And I had to binge it to watch it to review it. And I was like, this show is really weird when you binge it, because it's like it's all over the place. But it's like it wasn't meant to be watched as a binge, because it was back in the day when they would only put it on TV once a week, and if you didn't watch it that week, then you missed it, unless you had what did they have, TiVo back then. And now it's like all shows are written as though they expect you to binge them.
Yeah, and that's
true.
the problem
And
with
they're not.
Acolyte. It was I'm sorry.
Scotty, how do you feel about that?
Acolyte.
Sorry.
Run it by me one more time.
Video chat. The way TV is written to binge, but now they're dropping.
Oh
them weekly.
yeah, and I actually watched that show too, so I know what you're saying. How it had multiple plot lines and like one episode. And you know, the messed up thing that studios are getting better at is like you have to watch the recap at the beginning of the shows now, because now you know the storylines they're gonna hit on. I think House of Dragon does that every single week, and it's just like. Okay, but yeah, now you go back and watch and you try to binge it without any of those little things, and it's just picking up in the middle of something they talked about 2 weeks ago. People, I think, have edited a YouTube video blew up about Kenobi, the Kenobi show. A fan edited it all together in a full-length feature. It was better, according to everybody. It's just like, man, a lot of things could have made that show better.
I mean, it's just I just feel like the Acolyte was a binge show released as an episodic show, and it's like somebody didn't get the memo about.
Well, they want you to stay on as a subscriber.
Watching Dynasty.
Week, right? It's just because they want you to subscribe.
It's part of my Verizon.
Yeah, and there hasn't been any like one show that everybody is like, okay, let's do 7 seasons of this like they did the Clone Wars. So for me, like, live action, please. Stick the main story to live action. Do whatever the hell you want in the animated and all that to fill in the gaps. But stop filling in gaps. It's filler. It's literally filling in gaps between the main movies. Stop doing that with all the live action. Introduce these characters in a movie. Like, I don't know.
It blows my mind that we haven't had a movie in 5 years. Yeah. And the thing is, okay, Rise of Skywalker, I know it's probably your favorite movie, everyone.
No.
But the reality is of that movie is no one here liked it, right? Put up your hand if you liked it. Exactly. Okay, 50%. It made over $1 billion. It made over $1 billion.
Because they said it was the end of the Skywalker saga.
But also because which is I don't even
people
want to
felt
talk
obligated.
I don't even want to talk about that stupid Skywalker saga title that they gave her. I don't want to talk about it. It's stupid. Don't want to talk about it. But yeah, okay. But also it made over $1 billion. Star Wars is gonna bring in money, except for Solo. Like Star Wars is always gonna bring in money, especially and they had it. I think part of Solo's problem was May. Also, May wasn't Star Wars month anymore. Star Wars was December. Everybody it was like Christmas time. I want to go see Star Wars. But Star Wars is going to bring in money. I can't believe they haven't had one in 5 years. It's driving me nuts that they can't. Like the Rey movie to me, the villain. You got to figure out the villain. But that seems like the easiest movie to make because you could do whatever you want. Does no one have an imagination anymore? You can take a Jedi Knight with new Jedi Knights and do anything you want. Nothing is holding you back. Nothing.
Because the internet will complain that we didn't get that with Luke.
But then you make her do something that Luke wouldn't do. Surf. I'm just it blows. Like she could do anything she wants with anybody she wants. She's not tied down to anything anymore. Ben Solo, Finn, but like no more Luke, no more Han, no OT characters, no prequel characters. Do whatever you want, anything, and somehow they can't figure this out. I could probably Google right now a Rey Skywalker fan fiction something, and it's probably 400,000 of them right now, or one because nobody likes.
I can give you some some spicy ones.
Yes. Well, yeah, don't go. Yeah, not on DeviantArt.
No. I'm just saying, I don't know how you guys. We'll wrap it up, but it blows my mind that they James are getting worried that Star Wars might. But this is the thing. Here's the thing. Let's say they're worried about the Rey movie not making money. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, which is pissing me off. If it's a good movie, if you make a good movie, maybe they don't know what a good movie is, but if you remember when The Force Awakens came out and everybody loved that movie for like 2 months? Do you remember that? Like everybody was, because it wasn't a great movie. I call it a donut. It's like delicious, empty calories. It's fantastic. But it does nothing for you. You're hungry 4 minutes later. And that's when you get The Last Jedi, which is all your veggies. Anyway, but you watch that movie and it's like, okay, it's a New Hope, but you take that away, it feels like Star Wars. It brought you back into Star Wars. It had new characters that you're like, oh, I'm invested in these new characters now. It had all these elements. Just do that again. And I know that sound is probably easier said than done, but I don't think it is, because they did it 9 years ago and we all bought into it enough that that was the highest grossing movie of all time worldwide or in North America, because Avatar snuck in there. Like, it's still like the king for whatever reason. And then like the next movie made $1 billion. Then the next one made $1 billion, and then Solo. And then all those movies made $1 billion riding off the coattails of Star Wars and The Force Awakens being what it was. Nostalgia, I hate to say it, sells. So you do the Rey movie, you bring in the nostalgia, you give everybody what they want. Well, but that's Alden Ehrenreich, though, right? Yeah. It's not really Han Solo. I think that's what people felt. Anyway, my point is I love that movie. My point is, I don't know how it is so difficult for the most creative minds who are getting paid a lot of money to come up with a movie where you can do literally anything.
With amnesia like we have too. I mean, fans literally forget 3 months later and they're like, okay, what's the next new thing? Literally.
The MCU,
and then if that's bad,
like
then we remember all the bad stuff. But if it's good, we still forget all the bad stuff.
I think honestly, because if the Rey movie, here's the thing, and my point that I was trying to make that I totally lost my train of thought. But if the Rey movie is good and people are like, I don't want to go see Rey Skywalker, no. But if all of a sudden they're like, dude, that movie was so good, guess what? People are gonna be like, well, I guess I have to go see this Rey Skywalker movie. And then if it's good, they're like, oh my god, why did I watch that movie? It was good. I hate Disney. And all of a sudden,
it doesn't matter if it's good. People on the internet are still going to tell you it's bad.
But they're going to go see it.
And if it's good, they're going to be wrong.
And they're going to go see it. People hated The Rise of Skywalker and like, I can't believe I saw this 7 times.
I saw it once. I refuse to give them my money for that anymore.
Nobody made you see it 7 times. Why are you going? Star Wars fans are nuts. They're nuts. I saw it twice. I saw it
twice.
Yes.
I felt no need to see it again.
Oh, you should watch it again. It's improved. All right, let's wrap it up. We'll go around. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap it up? I should say that.
I just want to say maybe what they need to do is bring in a director who is completely removed from Star Wars and just wants to make a good movie.
Yeah. And Ron's right. It is a gamble, by the way. All right, we will wrap it up. Scotty, where can we find you?
The channel is my name, Scotty Hawk. You can also search the handle right in the YouTube search. It's at Scotty Hawk-ish, because Scotty Hawk is always taken everywhere I go. So come over and subscribe. I do like to talk about everything Star Wars. I'm big on High Republic. I really try to educate people who have any questions about any High Republic characters, or did the Acolyte feel like the High Republic that I know? I will say hard no on that. And if you want to know why, come over. It's pretty much a Q&A while I'm committing crimes in-game. GTA 5.
In-game crime.
It's actually a live server where the police, the EMS, the DOJ, the judges, everybody, they're all actual characters in the city. A lot of these people are really good at what they do. Accents, the whole 9. Men playing women, women playing men. You don't know who's what. It's a lot of fun. So Scotty Hawk, come on over and see me. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. I'm at 404.
Whoa.
Nice.
I'll put the link down below.
I subscribed last week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I unsubscribed.
I'm telling you, and if you come over, I might just share James's DMs. Someday it's gonna happen, and it's not gonna be my fault. He's gonna mess up. I've got the receipts, so.
And they're basically like, oh, I forgot to read this. I forgot to read this message. I'm never on Messenger. Oh, me neither.
Yeah, Andrew's channel, I purposely subscribed and then immediately unsubscribed.
He's like, I got one. Ah. Desi, where can everybody find you?
Twitter, Disney Desi, Instagram, Disney.Desi, on YouTube. I am on the WDWNT TV channel. Wednesdays, we review shows on Deep in the Plus. This week, we are reviewing Epcot Becoming. Thursdays, we have our comedy variety show, WDW News Tonight. And Sundays, we talk about all of the Disney Parks news with Park Center. It's like Sports Center, but with Disney Parks.
I need to ask you some questions about Disney Parks.
I love that
Is
name.
it way too expensive now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Heidi, where can everybody find your books?
Amazon.com. You could find them under my pen name, Ann Drayton, which I got from my middle name Ann and my street Drayton. So that's the old porn name emulator to get your pen name.
This is a live stream for the century.
And or you can find it under my name, Heidi Feder, Heidi, and F as in Frank, as my dad always used to say, Edor. I also have a YouTube channel. I don't have a lot. I have my cats. The one died not too long ago, but and they also sing. If you want to hear me sing, but yeah, and I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, everything. And if you're a Oshimir fan or a Raylo fan, so Scotty, this does include you. That's the kind of books I write, only a little bit spicier. But basically, the hand-holding scene.
Maybe that's why Heidi and I saw all these things that you guys didn't. Those are the kinds of books we like.
Yeah.
Just imagine the hand-holding in The Last Jedi, just a lot more detail.
Yeah.
I was too busy complaining about the sound the lightsabers make to notice anything else that was going on. All right, we're going to wrap it up. On Digital Charcuterie, I dropped the full canon history of Darth Maul today. It's only 8 minutes. I did it in 8 minutes. I rushed through it. I got the guy who did the Micro Machine commercials from the 90s to voice it. Anyone who gets that reference, thank you so much for stopping by. Chat, you guys were awesome as usual. Force push has a new definition to me, says for Thank you so much for watching. I like Traz way more than Last Jedi. Ooh, Garth Knight.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. As we wrap it up, thanks everybody for watching. It was awesome. Chat, you're amazing. And you three, thank you so much for joining me. This was a thrilling conversation. It's so much fun. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. May the force of others be with you. Hold on. I have to push a button. Now I push it.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.